Good morning. It's February 10th, and this is your daily brief in science. Here's everything you need to know. A landmark IPBES assessment warns that every business relies on biodiversity even as it degrades it, framing biodiversity loss as a systemic risk to the economy, financial stability, and human well-being. The global assessment reframes nature loss as an immediate economic risk and urges companies to act now to preserve nature as the foundation of future prosperity. It cautions that ignoring nature-related risks could trigger catastrophic economic fallout without reforms. Experts call for context-specific measurement approaches that combine site-level data with portfolio and value chain methods, and stronger engagement with science and indigenous knowledge. Key measures include boosting efficiency, reducing waste and emissions, and enacting policy, regulatory, financial, social, and technological reforms to enable meaningful corporate action beyond voluntary commitments. Businesses should adopt actions that increase efficiency, cut waste and emissions, and pursue stewardship to lower environmental impact. Pressure from the shift to green energy includes mining for minerals used in solar panels, wind turbines, and EV batteries on indigenous lands, sometimes without consent, fueling conflicts. Sturt marshes in Somerset illustrate how farming and conservation can collaborate. Cattle grazing supports habitat, flood banks protect villages, and wetlands sequester carbon while reducing pollution. UK stakeholders urge clear metrics and practical toolkits to help businesses integrate biodiversity protection into operations. The report calls for immediate action within an enabling environment shaped by policy, finance, social norms, technology, data, and capacity, stressing collaboration among governments, financial institutions, civil society, indigenous communities, and consumers. Barriers include short-term profit focus, lack of mandatory disclosure, data gaps, and under-integration of indigenous and local knowledge. Transformative change is urged. Phase out harmful subsidies, mandate biodiversity reporting, align finance with conservation, secure FPIC for indigenous communities, redefine success beyond GDP, reform finance for restoration, and integrate indigenous knowledge into planning. A large study of over 131,000 participants suggests that moderate caffeinated coffee and tea intake is associated with reduced dementia risk and slower cognitive decline. Decaf coffee did not show a similar protective effect, pointing to caffeine as the likely active factor. The authors caution that these findings are observational and show correlations, not causation, with an estimated modest protective effect and a sweet spot of about 2 to 3 cups of coffee or 1 to 2 cups of tea per day. Limitations include reliance on observational data and potential unmeasured confounding factors despite the prospective design. Experts note that observational studies cannot prove brain protection, and factors such as self-reported diagnoses and a relatively uniform study population limit generalizability. Leading authors reiterate that benefits may be influenced by other factors and by how data was collected. The study calls for more research to confirm causality and to understand the underlying mechanisms. It was published in JAMA and led by Dr. Yu Zhang of the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, with co-authors including Daniel Wang. Collaboration involved Mass General Brigham, Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, and the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard. The findings appear in 2026 with DOI 1.001 JAMA 2025-27259. Benefits were strongest among those 75 or younger and persisted even in individuals with high genetic risk, though causality remains unproven. More work is needed to determine causality and to understand confounding factors such as overall lifestyle, caffeine metabolism, and beverage additives. A new Nature Medicine study raises a caution flag. AI chatbots should not replace physicians or medical professionals, and people should exercise caution when seeking health information from AI tools. The research notes a gap between how these systems perform on tests and how useful they are in real-world health decisions, warning that relying on AI for diagnoses or care guidance can be dangerous. When real users interact with large language models, they correctly identify relevant conditions in fewer than 1 in 3 cases, far below performance when models are given full case text, underscoring how information gathering and questioning limits affect outcomes. In a separate urology study, ChatGPT's accuracy on guideline-based questions was 60%, leaving a sizable portion of responses incomplete or incorrect. A United Kingdom randomized trial with nearly 1,300 participants found 3 chatbots, and internet search guidance identified health problems about 1/3 of the time and advised correct actions around 45% of the time, not outperforming traditional methods. Oxford researchers tested GPT-4o, Llama 3, and Command R+ in realistic medical scenarios, revealing a gap between test results and practical usefulness for health decision-making. Human versus chatbot results show that when users consult chatbots versus traditional search, humans often identify problems and actions with no clear AI advantage. Experts acknowledge potential gains with newer models and better reasoning, but emphasize human-centered testing before deploying AI in patient care. Users frequently don't know what to ask, and responses are influenced by phrasing, making it hard to separate useful from non-useful information. Benchmarks like MedQA show models do well on multiple-choice questions, but struggle with real interactive tasks, highlighting the divergence between academic testing and practical utility. Common issues include incomplete user information and misinterpretation of AI answers, even when AI diagnoses seem plausible. The study, published in Nature Medicine as Reliability of LLMs as Medical Assistants for the General Public, calls for rigorous testing and safeguards for AI medical assistants. A recent look at the spotted lanternfly shows a rapid, stubborn spread across the Northeast and hints of movement toward the Midwest. The invasive Asian pest arrived in the United States around 2014 and has since extended its reach to cities as far north as Boston and Providence, with researchers forecasting continued westward movement toward Chicago. Genetic data indicate limited diversity from a single introduction, yet populations remain genetically similar across roughly a 125-mile span, challenging assumptions that low diversity would slow adaptation. The insects move by hitching rides on trains, ferries, and even backpacks, enabling quick jumps between urban centers. Each female lays a large clutch of eggs, driving rapid population growth from a single successful nesting event. Management guidance currently emphasizes stomping on individuals in urban areas as a precautionary measure, while acknowledging that urban-focused control efforts may be needed to curb broader spread. The pest feeds on tree sap and leaves behind sugary excretions that can stain trees and block photosynthesis, threatening hosts like tree of heaven and potentially impacting other species through toxin sequestration. There is evidence that lanternflies can sequester toxins from tree of heaven, which may affect predators and influence the wider food chain. Genomic analyses published in the Royal Society indicate adaptations to urban conditions in Shanghai, such as heat, pollution, and pesticides, that primed the lanternflies for success in northeast U.S. cities. Researchers trace the invasion to Berks County, Pennsylvania, likely starting from a shipment of stone from South Korea linked to urban Shanghai, with egg masses surviving northeast winters and aiding cross-continental spread, aided by transport on trains, ferries, and backpacks. A large international study spotlights a gut bacterium called CAG170 as consistently more abundant in healthy people around the world, hinting at a protective role in the gut ecosystem. The researchers frame CAG170 as a potential health indicator of gut microbiome status and a target for next-generation probiotics, though growing and delivering these bacteria presents real challenges. They note 3 lines of evidence: cross-country health correlations of CAG170 across diseases, computational analysis highlighting CAG170 as a key yet uncultured member of the hidden microbiome, and dysbiosis data showing lower CAG170 when gut balance is disrupted. Led by Dr. Alexandra Almeida of the University of Cambridge, the study was published February 9, 2026, in Cell Host and Microbe. Experts emphasize viewing the microbiome as an integrated system, with future work likely to explore nutritional clinical trials to understand how diet shapes microbiome host health dynamics. Almeida adds that CAG170 probably plays a central role in digestion and microbiome stability, with health correlations seen across diverse diseases and populations. The publication features a meta-analysis of the uncultured gut microbiome across more than 11,000 global metagenomes, a data-backed effort published in Cell Host and Microbe. The paper outlines therapeutic avenues including developing next-generation probiotics and methods to culture and validate uncultured gut bacteria based on the meta-analysis. Genetic analyses show CAG170 can produce high levels of vitamin B12 and enzymes that break down carbohydrates and fibers, suggesting it supports other gut microbes rather than directly benefiting the human host. Genomic data indicate CAG170's B12 production and carbohydrate fiber degrading abilities, pointing to an altruistic role in the microbiome by feeding other beneficial microbes. CAG170 is known only from genetic fingerprints and has not been cultured in the lab, underscoring the importance of the hidden or uncultured microbiome and metagenomic approaches to study it. An open question remains whether higher CAG170 levels cause better health or are a consequence of it. Intervention studies will be needed to determine if introducing CAG170 reduces disease risk. This has been your daily brief in science. To read more about these stories, follow the links in the episode bio. You can also subscribe to these updates via email at www.brief.news. For more daily podcasts about the topics you love, visit brief.news/podcasts. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be back with everything you need to know.